Growth doesn't just change you, it rattles the room you're in. When you start evolving, really growing, it doesn't just change you, it disrupts everything around you. Suddenly, people get uncomfortable. Friends, family, coworkers, they don't always cheer for your growth. Some pull away, some push back. Why? Because your transformation threatens their comfort zone. It challenges their assumptions. It forces them to look at themselves, and not everyone's ready for that. But this discomfort, it's a sign you're on the right path. Mental evolution is messy, it's powerful, and it's personal. It means pushing through resistance, not just from the world, but from within. The doubts, the pressure to conform, the fear of being judged. That's why building a strong mind isn't optional, it's essential. Nietzsche believed that a strong mind doesn't just survive the chaos, it embraces it. He saw struggle not as weakness, but as the furnace where real strength is forged. In this video, we're going deep into what it takes to develop that kind of strength. The kind that makes you unshakable, focused, relentless. The kind that earns respect and sometimes fear, not because you seek it, but because your presence demands it. We'll break down why growth triggers resistance, how to handle it, and what it truly means to build a resilient, independent mind in a world that wants you to stay the same. If you've ever felt like your growth is making people uncomfortable, keep watching. You're not alone, and you're not wrong. Let's get into it. When you start changing on the inside, your world on the outside starts to shift too, and not always in ways you expect or want. Growth can feel lonely. As your values shift, your circle may not shift with you. Suddenly, the conversations feel different. The connection fades. You're thinking deeper, questioning more, and the people around you might not get it. You're not broken. You're just outgrowing the version of you they knew. There's an unspoken agreement in many social groups. Stay predictable, stay comfortable. But the moment you start asking bigger questions, setting new boundaries, or aiming higher, that agreement cracks. People feel threatened. Not because you're doing harm, but because you're doing different. Their reaction? It's not about you. It's about what your growth reflects back at them. But this journey isn't just about how others react. It's also about how you face yourself. Growth demands honesty. It forces you to look at parts of yourself you've ignored, habits, fears, insecurities. It's uncomfortable, but it's also the beginning of something real. When you confront your own weaknesses, you stop hiding from life. And here's the paradox. The more you accept your flaws, the more you grow. The more you grow, the more you show others what's possible. Yes, people might resist you at first, but some will be inspired, some will follow, and others will finally give themselves permission to grow too. This discomfort isn't a glitch. It's part of the process. It's how transformation spreads. Nietzsche didn't run from chaos. He ran into it. He saw what most people fear as something sacred. Not destruction, but a portal. A space where the old self dies and something stronger is born. Chaos isn't random. It's the test life throws at you when you're ready to evolve. In the middle of that storm, when your plans fall apart, when you're stripped of certainty, that's when the real work begins. You're no longer pretending. You're no longer hiding. Chaos forces you to see who you are without the mask. Most people avoid this space. It's dark. It's painful. But Nietzsche believed it's in this exact place that transformation happens. You either get broken by it, or you break through. Suffering sharpens you. Every hardship carries a message. You are more capable than you think. But the only way to receive that message is to stop resisting the discomfort. To stop asking, why me? And start asking, what is this teaching me? It's not just about getting through hard times. It's about letting hard times mold you, shape you, strengthen you. Because every time you fall and get back up, you're not returning to who you were. You're becoming someone new, someone stronger, someone more whole. That's what Nietzsche meant when he said, out of chaos comes a dancing star. He wasn't being poetic, he was being precise. The star is not created in silence, it's born in chaos, through it. And that's the truth most people miss. Pain isn't the end. It's the beginning. The fire you go through isn't there to destroy you. It's there to burn away what's not real, what's not needed, what's holding you back. So if life feels like it's falling apart, good. That means something greater is trying to break through. When Nietzsche said, "God is dead," he wasn't celebrating loss. He was pointing to a shift, a seismic one. What he meant was this: the old frameworks that once gave life meaning, religion, tradition, unquestioned morality, no longer held power in the modern world. The systems that once told us who we were, what mattered, and why we exist, were crumbling. And with that collapse came freedom, but also something heavier: responsibility. Because if there's no higher authority guiding your values, no rule book handed down from above, then you're left with one reality: you must create your own meaning. This is both liberating and terrifying. It means you're the architect of your identity, your purpose, your life. There's no one to blame, no system to lean on, just you, your choices, your consequences. And that kind of freedom, it's radical. It demands courage, discipline, self-awareness, because without guardrails, it's easy to drift into confusion, into doubt, into existential overwhelm. That's the trade-off. When you reject inherited truths, you inherit the burden of creating your own. But Nietzsche didn't see this as a crisis. He saw it as a call to action, to stop following blindly, to stop living passively, to step into the chaos of life and choose who you want to be, consciously, actively, unapologetically. This is the power and the pressure of self-creation. You don't just live, you decide how to live. And in that decision lies your potential. What do you become when all the rules fall away? Nietzsche had an answer: the Übermensch, the overman. This isn't about being superior to others. It's about transcending the old versions of yourself. It's about becoming the kind of person who doesn't just survive in a broken world, but creates something new from it. The Übermensch doesn't follow society's script. He doesn't wait for permission. He doesn't need a system to tell him who to be. Instead, he forges his own values from the fire of his lived experience. He creates meaning in a world where meaning has collapsed. To be the Übermensch is to live with intention, courage, and clarity, on your terms. This kind of strength isn't loud or aggressive. It's internal. It's the quiet, unshakable conviction that no matter what the world throws at you, you will not bend. You will not betray yourself. Resilience, creativity, self-awareness. These are the foundations. The Übermensch doesn't view adversity as a threat. He sees it as a sculptor, chiseling him into something sharper. He welcomes uncertainty because he knows truth isn't found in comfort. It's revealed through the unknown. And perhaps most importantly, the Übermensch lives by his own internal code. No borrowed beliefs, no blind obedience. He writes his own laws, built from insight, trial, error, and brutal honesty. This internal compass becomes his source of strength, allowing him to stand alone without falling apart. That's what Nietzsche dared us to become. Not better than others, but better than who we were yesterday. More whole, more awake, more real. To strive toward the Übermensch is to stop asking what life owes you and start asking what you're here to build. Not just for yourself, but for others who need to see what it looks like to break free and rise. Who are you when no one is watching? Who are you when the crowd is gone, the applause fades, and the rules don't apply? Nietzsche answered this with a vision. The Übermensch, the overman. Not a superhero, not a tyrant, but the next step in human evolution. Someone who has the courage to live without inherited beliefs, someone who dares to carve meaning from the chaos of life. The Übermensch is a creator of values, a challenger of norms, a destroyer of false gods, and a builder of something new. In a world that no longer offers a clear moral compass, he doesn't get lost. He becomes the compass. To live like the Übermensch is to reject passivity. It's to refuse the safety of collective thinking. It's about waking up from the trance of obedience and asking the most terrifying question of all. What do I believe when no one tells me what to believe? That question breaks most people. It demands radical honesty. It demands that you confront your fears, your inherited stories, your comfort, and then walk away from them. But the Übermensch doesn't break. He rebuilds. He doesn't just face adversity, he thrives on it. Pain isn't his weakness, it's his forge. Every failure, every betrayal, every moment of isolation becomes fuel for inner strength. He alchemizes suffering into power, doubt into clarity, chaos into order. But he doesn't just survive, he creates. He doesn't rely on borrowed beliefs or external validation. Instead, he forms his own moral universe, crafted through personal experience, reflection, and the constant confrontation with truth. Not convenient truth, real truth, the kind that burns when you touch it. The Übermensch isn't interested in fitting in. He's not here to be liked. He's here to live with such deep alignment that even solitude feels full. He's here to stretch human potential, to prove that a person can live freely, think independently, and still remain grounded in purpose and integrity. This is what Nietzsche challenges you to become. A mind so strong, so self-sufficient, that you no longer fear standing alone. The Übermensch lives with depth, not distraction. With conviction, not convenience. With fire, not fear. He is a lighthouse in the storm, not because he controls the weather, but because he became the fire in the middle of it. And if you're serious about building a mind that terrifies mediocrity, this is who you must become. Not tomorrow, not when it's safe. Now, if you want to build a strong mind, you must learn to be alone. Not just physically alone, but mentally, emotionally, spiritually alone. Free from distractions, free from noise, free from the constant pull of validation. In a world wired for attention, solitude is rebellion, but it's also a sanctuary. Solitude isn't about isolation, it's about return. A return to your own voice, your own rhythm, your own truth. When you step away from the chaos of conversations, screens, and expectations, something powerful begins to happen. You start to hear yourself, not the version the world shaped, but the raw, unfiltered self underneath all of it. At first, this quiet can feel unbearable. Without the chatter of others, you start to feel the silence inside you. It can trigger doubt, insecurity, even fear. You may feel unmoored, like you've stepped out of a current you've always floated in, but this discomfort is the gateway. Because in that silence, you meet your real thoughts, your real emotions, your hidden fears and forgotten dreams. You confront the questions most people avoid their entire lives. What do I really want? What do I actually believe? Who am I when I'm not performing? This confrontation is not easy. It's not supposed to be. But it is necessary. Because a strong mind is not built in the presence of constant noise. It's built in the furnace of reflection. Solitude is where you strip away the layers that were never really you. The borrowed opinions, the inherited fears, the unconscious habits. You begin to reassemble yourself with intention, with clarity. Even loneliness has its role here. It teaches you that being alone isn't the same as being empty. It teaches you to be whole without needing someone else to complete you. And then comes silence, true silence, the kind that isn't just around you, but inside you. When you can sit in that silence without flinching, without numbing, without running, you reach something deeper than knowledge. You reach knowing. And from that knowing comes strength. Solitude isn't a retreat from life. It's where you prepare to re-enter it, clearer, sharper, stronger. Every powerful mind you admire spent time in that quiet. So must you. The world doesn't just tolerate sameness, it worships it. From school to work to social media, we're trained to blend in, to agree, to nod quietly, to avoid making waves. But what happens when you decide not to? When you choose truth over approval, the world doesn't always applaud. It resists. You get labeled arrogant, difficult, too much. But in truth, all you're doing is waking up, refusing to play a game built on smallness. This is the threat of collective mediocrity, a system where comfort is king, and anyone who aims higher becomes a problem, a mirror showing others what they've given up on. Nietzsche understood this deeply. He called it slave morality, a mindset that praises weakness, submission, and sameness, while shaming power, independence, and ambition. In a culture ruled by slave morality, being humble isn't about inner peace. It's about staying small enough not to offend anyone. Conformity becomes a survival tactic. Individuality becomes a risk. But here's the truth. If you live for the crowd, you'll die inside it. Resisting mediocrity takes courage. You will feel lonely. You will be misunderstood. But on the other side of that discomfort is freedom. Real freedom. The kind that allows you to speak, think, and move without asking for permission. When you step out of the collective mold, you don't just free yourself. You give others permission to do the same. You become proof that there is another way. And in a world desperate for depth, that's not rebellion. That's leadership. Authenticity sounds beautiful until you realize what it costs. Living true to yourself means letting go. Letting go of people who only liked the version of you that didn't ask questions. Letting go of environments that rewarded silence, not strength. Letting go of illusions that kept you safe but small. This isn't easy. It hurts to outgrow people. It stings to walk alone. There will be moments when you wonder if you made the right choice, when the weight of being real feels heavier than the ease of being liked. But here's the truth. A strong mind can't be built on compromise. Every time you choose authenticity over acceptance, you pay a price, but you gain something greater. You gain integrity. You gain clarity. You gain a connection to yourself that no amount of validation can replace. And eventually, you begin to attract people who see the real you and stay. Not out of convenience, but out of resonance. Yes, this journey is filled with doubt, setbacks, and loss. But these aren't signs you're failing. They're signs you're becoming. So keep going, keep standing, keep shedding what doesn't belong. Because the path to a strong, fearless mind is walked alone, but it leads to a life that no one can take from you. You've made it to the end. And if you're still here, you already know. This path isn't for everyone. Building a strong mind demands sacrifice. You'll lose comfort. You'll lose people. Sometimes you'll even lose yourself for a while. But what you gain is worth far more. You gain clarity, the kind that cuts through the noise. You gain integrity, not the kind you talk about, but the kind you live by. You gain a mind that can't be manipulated, broken, or bent by the expectations of others. This is the true reward of authenticity. Not applause, but alignment. Not ease, but real peace. Throughout this video, we've explored the foundations of mental strength, solitude, resilience, self-creation, the courage to resist mediocrity, and the relentless pursuit of truth. These aren't just philosophical ideas, they're tools, lived experiences, challenges meant to be faced, not avoided. Growth doesn't come from following the herd. It comes from stepping into the unknown, armed with nothing but your will and your truth. So as you move forward, remember, this is not a destination. It's a lifelong transformation. And every discomfort, every rejection, every hard choice you make, it's all part of building the mind that no one can take from you. If this message resonated with you, don't keep it to yourself. Like this video, share it, subscribe to the channel, be part of a community that's not interested in fitting in, but in rising above. Your support helps create a space for deeper conversations, real change, and fearless minds. And if you're hungry for more, we've got you covered. Our channel is filled with powerful content to support your evolution, philosophy, psychology, strategy, reflection, everything you need to keep sharpening your edge. In a world that rewards obedience, becoming yourself is the most radical thing you can do. Thank you for being here. Stay sharp, stay grounded, and we'll see you in the next video.